Thank you, Chairman. Secretary James and General Welch both, I was really pleased to see the proposed investment in MILCON and the new stealth and nuclear alert facility at Whiteman Air Force Base, continuing to encourage your efforts in that direction, and glad to see them. General Welch, on the deployment of the C-130s to go to one of our other installations in our state, I know you're well aware of the C-130 training that goes on at St. Joseph, Missouri, at the Rosecrans base, which now includes, I think, 18 people from 18 different countries, and this year we may add South Korea and Turkey to that list of people we bring there to learn to use that aircraft more effectively. I'm wondering, I'd like you to respond a little bit, your sense of the fielding and deployment plan for the C-130s, particularly the new J models. This is something I put in our bill last year, asking you to look at that, and response to that would be helpful.
Senator, the Air Mobility Command has been leading the effort, along with the tags from each of the states that have C-130 units in those states, Air Force Reserve Command and the National Guard Bureau, to look at the allocation plan for C-130s, everything from bed down to modernization. As you know, we did a study back in 2012 that said we actually have more capacity than we need to do our job. And so starting in the FY13 budget, we looked at how do we draw down from the 358 we currently have to about 300 to 308, which is what the study said we should move to. Those plans have been stalled a little bit while we make sure we get the allocation plan right. The most recent direction from the Congress was in last year's NDA, the 15 NDA, which directed us to submit a report that describes that allocation plan, the modernization approach, et cetera. That report has finished its initial reviews in the Air Staff. I commented on it last week to my staff, returned it to the headquarters Air Force staff. We now need to get the final draft put together. It'll come back through me within the next couple of weeks to the Secretary so she can review it and make final decisions, and that will then be forwarded to the Congress. So the report should be here within the next month in its final form, and all the details will be there. So I hate to get ahead of the Secretary's decision process on this, but this is all part of that review, and we'll either validate or adjust the allocation plans that were in both the 14 and the 15 PB.
Well, I look forward to seeing that review. Secretary James, you want to make a comment on this topic generally of moving, of how we're going to field the planes we do wind up with?
My only comment, Senator, would maybe be just going back to the basic why are we doing any of this, and that is, it was several years ago, I believe, there was a large study conducted within the Department of Defense, and that study indicated that we had too many of intra-theater airlift aircraft, namely the C-130s. So it's a question of how can we bring the numbers down, keep the newer ones in the inventory, gradually perhaps retire the older ones, and then these various shifts that are going on. So that's the complexity of it. But beyond that, I don't really have a comment because I haven't seen the report yet. I'm awaiting General Welch's.
Well, I asked for the report last year, which it sounds like it's about to be forthcoming, and I look forward to talking to both of you about it when you get the report. And the other thing, I'll just make this case one more time. If we're going to train our pilots to use this aircraft, we certainly need the newer models available, at least one of them, at what's a principal training facility, and I hope we continue to head in that direction. Secretary James, on the A-10, you're more familiar with than anybody on both sides of that debate, but I continue to hear from people who are responsible for troops on the ground that there's nothing in their view that's going to replace the A-10. The replacement aircraft would be, in your view, and why do you think, what's your response to General O'Neill and others who says the A-10 is the best combat support aircraft for people on the ground available right now?
All of the information and data that I have seen about the conduct of the last, again, 12, 13 years of war, something like this, that we've been in Iraq and Afghanistan, tells me that the A-10 has done a magnificent job, but so has the F-16 and the F-15E, and the B-1 bomber has been a contributor, and there have been a number of aircraft that have contributed to the totality of close air support. So to me, close air support is not a plane, it's a mission, and it's a sacred mission, and we got it. So I just want to assure you of that. In terms of the proposal to retire the A-10, again, we do it with the greatest of reluctance. It's a budgetary matter. If we had dollars above the PB level, then things open up and become more possible. But again, we have what we have, and we're very worried it's going to get even worse if we have to return to sequestration. So it is a budgetary matter. But I will also say this, that every aircraft eventually gives way to the next generation. Eventually, it gives way. And I know General Welsh and I have been discussing, is there an alternative approach to address the A-10, and is there another way to go about this and so forth? And we've got some ideas. At the appropriate time, maybe we could sit down and discuss these ideas at greater length. But again, it's a budgetary matter, and in terms of the mission of close air support and our support for the troops on the ground, we got it. And we've got other aircraft that absolutely will carry forth with that mission.